Hey, wow, two videos in 2 days. As you can see, I've had a little bit of a spruce up since the last one. And I wasn't going to do another one, but then based on this video I just did, my wife just mentioned something to me. So a couple of days ago, she put a inspirational slash motivational post up on her status on WhatsApp, as regarding an addict speaking to their families, and it said something to the lines of, don't enable us, don't do this, blah, 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 don't give in to our whims. Pretty much a sort of tough love message. And we had some people whose son was on our program who threw his toys out the cot so many times and so repeatedly that he convinced them to take him out. And then he came back on the program and he caused complete and utter chaos here. And then, they took him out again and they rushed him off to a psychiatric institution, and they diagnosed him with all the psychiatric dual diagnosis problems: his bipolar, his borderline personality disorder, light schizophrenia, blah, 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 blah. But in the interim, I'll get to that now. But in the interim, bought him a townhouse, bought him a brand new Ford Ranger, bought him expensive motorcycles times two, supplied him with a job, supplied him with all these types of things. And then, of course, with all these diagnoses, bags and bags and bags of prescription medications every month. And he never got better. He just never got better. In fact, he just got worse and worse and worse. And eventually, through his drug abuse, at a very minimum, they told him he needs to get out of the townhouse because the townhouse was being destroyed. But then he moved into a lodge, and which was being paid for, figure it out. And his food was being paid for by figure it out, and getting little allowances here and there and all the rest. And then this is now years and years that have been going on like this. And then one afternoon demanded money for, I believe it was fuel for his vehicle. And the father eventually put his, I'm not giving you fuel because I know you're going to buy drugs. And the guy then hung himself. And now, the story is, well, tough love never worked for us. I don't understand how buying townhouses, buying Ford Ranger buckies, buying motorcycles, paying salaries for no work, rushing this person in and out of institutions, while he's, shouting the odds about where he needs to get better and how he needs to get better, and he's got these problems and those problems. I don't know how that's tough love. My view was always, no matter how he screamed and shouted and carried on, you should have just, left him, until he understands that screaming and shouting and throwing tantrums isn't going to work, And ultimately, at the time when you decided to do that, he was so flippant gone on prescription medications and so gone on crystal methamphetamine that, as a last act of defiance, I believe that in my heart, as a last act of defiance, he set up, in my view, it was a straight out accident. I don't think he did it on purpose. I think he did it as a scare tactic, and it went bad. Because I've been through that before in my walk. I've seen that before in my walk, multiple times. And, it ultimately led to his death. But it wasn't the one time that you decided to apply tough love that harmed him. It was the years and years and years and years and years of constant and total enabling behavior that led to that. And people need to understand that, You bring this child up, you bring this guy up, and every time he flipping throws a vloermoer, we say in Afrikaans, goois himself on the floor and throws a tantrum, you run around and buy things and kiss his backside until eventually it gets to a point where it's, clearly not working, and then you quickly now want to reverse, and it leads to this person's harm. That, if you'd have just followed what you've been told over the years, you know, this wouldn't have been the result. This wouldn't have been the result. First of all, the psychiatrics. The psychiatrics, I'm sure they have their place in society, but the psychiatric drugs for methamphetamine addicts whose brains are damaged from these drugs, they need the time for their brains to heal. You can't take them off crystal meth and then put them on regimens of prescription meds that are flipping damaging their brains further, And you cannot allow addicts to recover on their own terms and shout the terms of their own recovery. You need to apply tough love. And tough love, close the checkbook. Stop buying cars. Stop paying rent. Stop supplying jobs. These people need to learn how to stand on their own 2 feet and to face life on life's terms, which is something that comes out of the 12-step program. Not mommy and daddy are paying for everything and you can run around and do whatever you want. And then the second they eventually put their foot down, you're like, well, I'll show you, I'll kill myself. And oh, guess what? You end up dead. And now everyone else is to blame and people are living in guilt. Get out of the guilt, I want to say to that family. Get out of the guilt. Ultimately, he brought about his own destruction. But you could have played a better role in the end result if you'd have just followed what people have been trying to tell you. But you'd rather follow, the ideas of people whose own sons and own daughters are in the exact same boat and they're doing the exact same thing as you, and you're hoping to get some kind of a result which that person has never got. And now you're blaming yourself because the one time you said no petrol money, the oak did this. I mean, really, if you'd applied the tough love, and when he came and caused chaos here, had supported us and not supported him in terms of, his behavior, and allowed us to treat him the way, he needs to be treated, which is, tough love. That's how we work. He'd be alive today. I'm telling you now, he'd be alive today. But it is what it is, eh? Lekker, the reality, I just want to add this reality, in terms of tough love. Could tough love lead to someone's death? Absolutely. Here's a prime example. But let me tell you this, it's led to far more people's lives and living than it has their deaths. And here's the bad news. He's dying anyway. He's killing himself with drugs. But you want him to die comfortable on your couch, driving your car, spending your money. That's how you want him to die. And then you can look and say, oh, look at what happened. We've tried everything. You haven't tried everything. Me personally, I would have sent that guy. There's a very, very good rehab out in the Karoo for guys like that haven't got ears. I would have sent him there and said, listen here, we'll see you in 2 years. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. Court order. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Phone us when you're ready to flip and really do something correctly. And that would have changed his whole attitude about life, because for the first time in his life, he would have actually had to work for something and earn something and become something on his own without constant crutch and support from his family. And if there must be a crutch and support, that crutch and support needs to be Jesus Christ. That's the crutch and support that you need. Not the constant throwing of thousands and hundreds of thousands of rands in material gifts and finance, in the hope that you're going to buy your way out of this problem. You're really not. You're really not going to. You're really not going to. So either way, whether you try and buy them out of the recovery or you apply tough love and you've at least got a 50, 60, 80% chance of success, either way, they're killing themselves. So, weigh it up. Another thing I just quickly want to add to that is you must decide, if he's killing himself, he's also killing you and killing your finance and killing your business and killing your home. So you also need to start making a decision. Who's going to die? Is the addict alone going to die, or are all of you going to die together? And of what good are you going to be to anybody if you bankrupt through this person's addiction? These are things you need to weigh up. And this is why people don't like us at Walking with Winners, because these are the truths we speak to. We don't sit and pamper people and go, oh, shame, poor you, blue, blue. We tell you the truth. And the truth is this, is that addiction kills. Addiction kills. You need to get real now. It's time to get real. I'm not popular for being real, but I'm not here to win a popularity contest. I'm fighting the devil in the trenches here. I have to use every weapon available to me. And one of those is truth. And it's about time people started listening to the truth. Instead of all this psycho jargon that's being pumped down your throats. If the psycho jargon worked, we wouldn't be where we are now with this problem. A 5,000% increase in 15 years, 0.2% recovery rates. The psycho babble isn't working. Now, even giving away free drugs in places where you can use drugs because it's a healthier environment to use drugs. Legalizing of marijuana, these types of things. There's no rehabs fighting against the legalization of marijuana. Have you thought about why that is? Have you thought about why no rehab is fighting against the legalization of marijuana? Do you want to know why? Because they've got actuaries that look at statistics, and the statistics say 30% of those that use marijuana will progress to harder drugs. Not maybe, will. 30% will go on to harder drugs. And 30% of those that go to harder drugs will require some kind of intervention and treatment in their lives. And who do you think is going to do the treatment and intervention, and at what cost? It's a business model. That's why no one's fighting against legalization of marijuana. No one's fighting against the legalization of drugs and places to use drugs, because those people that use the drugs in those places are going to need treatment. And those treatment facilities are going to make money. Wake up, men. Wake up. Start getting involved in the fight with people who are really in it to win it and really want to change lives. And really, my biggest wish is that a guy, if he comes to my treatment facility, that he recovers to the point where I never have to see him there ever again, except to come and give a testimony about how great our God is. That's our vision. But unfortunately, the truth is that, with all this other noise, people just don't recover. They don't recover. Okay. Trying to medicate people that are addicted to medication out of being addicted to medication with medication. This is the cure. Do me a favor, man, please. Anyway, God bless people. I'm sure I'll speak to you again soon. Cheers.